Hopefully we're recording. 1, 2, 3, let's jam. I want to get this recording correct because I just like to get it right. Feel satisfied with it. Even though the data probably will screw up when it's uploading, as generally happens with this crappy internet in this town. I can tell you that I'm actually more comfortable by myself than I am with people. It's not that I'm antisocial. It's that basically they're, for the most part, some people have the halo effect, some people have the shadow effect. I have the shadow effect. Therefore, I'm not rewarded for being part of society. And it's some of the happiest times I ever had when I was by myself. You know, like I'm in the middle of nowhere in the desert. There's like where the Bundy standoff happened. There's like creosote bushes, occasional cactus, maybe a little cat-sized fox in the middle of the night. Shows up there, called a San Juan King fox, by the way. I'm in the middle of nowhere in the forest. Some beautiful hills. Maybe there's a lake, maybe there's a creek. Some deer walk by. I've got a radio. I pick up some airwave TV. I've got some video games to play. A little hiking, make a campfire. No problems, no issues, no drama, next to no bills. Because if I'm being honest about it to some degree, a lot of the bills that I deal with in society, they feel like more like paying a tax for society's problems. It's not really for me. Society needs these things, and they try to force you to need them as well. But I get to thinking that I grew to be this way over the years. I've always been kind of an outsider, kind of a shadow child, children of the shadows. But I see more and more, there's a lot of young men out there where there is no growing towards this. They understand, as young men, that there's no point in participating. And it's interesting because it's kind of where we've been kind of guiding a lot of people. It's like you've shadow banned people like we talk about online, but in reality, they've been shadow banned in life. What do I mean by that? By the way, Freedom Phil, like and subscribe. Let's get into it. And hey, turn up the video speed. Why do I say that? Watch the video faster. Should be watching this at least at 1.5 to 1.75. Also, appreciate any subs. When I drive truck, for instance, there isn't a lot of the normal, employment drama. Like when I used to swing a hammer, there's kind of a weird, stupid pecking order. And I'm there to make a buck. To be honest. When you work in a factory, there's a lot of that little social pecking order nonsense. When I was a garbage man, there was always some asshole who was trying to work their way up to being something of a manager, and everybody wants everybody on everybody's side, I was always out for my side because I can remember the Lord knows how many times, no offense to people that are going to hear this, friends, family, general society was not on my side. If things were hard for other people, I used to be more of a helping person. I'm like, oh, they're friends and blah, blah, blah. But one day I realized most of my friends, most of my family, not everybody, but you know who I'm talking about because it's you. If I was having hard times, I never fucking heard from anybody. Oh, sucks for you. Figure it out. Okay. Slowly but surely, I've taken up that same approach. Instead of being better than the world, better than the situation, I've decided to be a reflection of the world. How you've treated me is how I shall treat you. And to be honest, I was better to you than you were to me. And I see that when I see it in younger men these days, where they're not even wasting time. And you could ask, how did we get to this situation? Well, a lot of things have changed in the world. It used to be if you didn't work, then you didn't eat. If you didn't work and you didn't do anything, then you lived on the streets and life sucked. But we've subsidized a whole lot of people. For instance, there's a lot of women out there that left up to their own efforts, they would die. They would starve to death. The Section 8 apartment you live in is paid for by other people. Just like there's a lot of dudes out there that have faked crazy and they're getting a free ride. Now, you're seeing more and more dudes that are just, I'd argue. Either they're scam artists or they're just shadow people just saying, fuck it. You know, if the world's going to treat me like an untouchable because I'm not Mr. Right, not Mr. This, not Mr. That. Like for instance, you see a situation where Mr. Right says something. Oh, he's so kind of so cute. Oh my God, he's so handsome. And then Mr. Wrong, which could be so many different categories of dudes, says, oh my God, what a creep. Oh my God. You know, like, and these days that could be like, you know, if she lodges a complaint society-wise, even if what you did wasn't illegal, that can make it harder for you to get a job, harder for you to move up in society. So like when they say, why aren't these guys hitting us? No, let's be honest, ladies. You just want Mr. Right to hit on you. What you really want is Mr. Chad, you know, the one that uses you like a human fleshlight. Yeah, you're literally, for Chad, if you're a part of Chad's harem, Chad or Tyrone, the Thundercock brothers, you are literally just a masturbatory thing. It's not even sex at some point. It's just blowing a load. And that's got to be so demeaning for so many women. I'm this, I'm that. And then this is like, then he ghosts you. Oh, welcome to a twinge of pain. I would argue for a lot of guys, and I've been so over that fucking feeling, emotional feeling for years. I got past that back in my 20s. I'm like, whatever, world doesn't want me. Better go find something else to do. And that is what young men, a lot of guys, a good 50% of men, I've been figuring out more and more. World doesn't want you. They told you they don't want you. You just move on, you know? And then you see the inequity in the society. You see how, I think it's funny. As a joke, I saw someone's design for colors for a fursuit. And I was like, I just made a quick short saying, that's a bad choice of colors for a fursuit. And then I flung some Cheetos in the air for my dog to eat. Got 2,000 views on that. It's the dumbest fucking thing you could think of. No thought, no energy. But certain things get rewarded. And I'm not saying that furries are degenerate or anything like that, but they are kind of a weird subculture. And for whatever reason, certain weird subcultures, they really get prompted up. And there's also, you know, let's be honest, some of those groups have a problem with PDFs, you know, and so you got to wonder how much of like the people online literally, you know, so there's a lot of fucking creeps online. I mean, look, I'm not a creep. I'm a mon. I'm like an old ogre monster thing, like just kind of shrugging along, just an old ogre doing his thing. But there's some fucking bad people online. And the funny thing is like the attitude. Well, what are you gonna do to stop them? Pfft, that's your parents' job, man. I mean, fuck. I'm not. Nope. It was a long time ago. I'm not being Jesus for anybody. I'm not. Because at the end of the day, for all the talk of being the way of the Lord, for instance, like Machiavelli pointed this out, most of the people that are highly successful are anything but godlike, okay? We reward non-godlike qualities. We basically tell people to be self-sacrificing, but then we don't reward them for their self-sacrifice. And which then tells people, well, if I'm not going to be rewarded for doing the right thing, then, and this guy's doing the wrong thing, well, then the wrong thing. And you see this obviously, like look at the ghetto. Go out and work hard, get an education, blah, blah, blah. Well, then why is she fucking a drug dealer that's in and out of prison? You know, and by the way, you also see that in broke-ass white communities as well. You know, the joke back in the day, this chick, I knew, old chick, she used to refer to like a Bo Hunk, you know, like dude looked like Bo and Luke Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard, because she was back when she was a young thing. That was the show on TV. And I'm like, well, yeah, why are you fucking these guys that are in and out of jail? So the wrong thing gets the right results. So then you got guys that are more cerebral, and they're like, you know what? I'm just not going to deal with that situation. They're not putting themselves out there. They're not dealing with it. They're not having it. And I think it's funny because after all the, telling of young men, we need you to go out and build society, do this. No. And this kind of comes back to the sickening thing of like, I think Asmongold pointed this out, and he's very correct on this. Most people don't give a shit where the materials for their cell phone comes from. Oh, I believe in human rights and blah. No, you don't give a shit. If your electric car or your latte doesn't show up, my God, it's a very privileged first world HOA mentality. Like, my God, if that life isn't perfect. No, deep down, everybody knows. Hey, that little boy working in Africa digging those precious metals out with a stick, he got a raise. He's a manager. Now he's got an old, practically broken shovel to where he's moving on up. And you're perfectly fine with that. If we're being honest, if we're based on your buying choices, you're not buying the ethical phone or the ethical EV. You're perfectly fine with that. And take this back. Where does this go back to? The average situation for the men that are cast in the shadows. The men are in shadow band in life. You don't care about how their situation is. You don't give a rat fuck damn about those men. Just as long as the pipes keep working, the electricity grid keeps working, and all that shit. So one day when these men are replaced in the trades by robots, just like when trucking eventually is all self-driving. By the way, how many of you saw that video of that self-driving truck in China that was dragging a motorcycle on the front of it and didn't even realize it? Self-driving. Imagine if that was a wheelchair. But even still, most people wouldn't care if there was a dead person in a wheelchair underneath that vehicle because, frankly, as long as my stuff gets there, you don't care if it gets there at a better price. So society's conundrum is really that these young men are now not stepping up for the trades. They're not going to college. And why would they? I mean, I've proven that you can live off like $5K a year. If this house rents out, yeah, I can live anywhere from $2,500 to $5K a year. I can literally bum that much change in less than a month. Shit, it's not even hard. So what I'm getting at with this is once guys have figured out that they can live off probably 10% of what you need them to make, they can literally live and by the way, purposely living at that level so they can get the food stamps and the whatever benefits they can get, doing everything they can under the table, just staying at a certain level purposely. Maybe they live with some friends. Maybe they live in the basement of their parents, Either way, and it is a sad waste. I will say that because it's like I heard this thing from Better Bachelor the other day where he's talking about these people saying, we go to college, and they show this dentist that goes to 6 years of college and has this huge amount of debt. And by the time that dentist actually pays off all that debt, this guy who decided to become an unionized elevator repairman in Chicago, in 6 years, he's making 160 grand and he's a team leader. Like the first year, he's making 70K and then it keeps on progressively going up. And once he's been there 4 years, he's really certified. But after 6 years, he's got his own team. And that guy, if he's living efficiently, he can invest when he's young, and even if he's making a paltry 10% off his investments, it doesn't take that many years until he is absolutely good to retire. Go buy some cheap place in the middle of nowhere. It's like I've said for years when it comes to trucking or whatever, drive truck for 7 to 10 years, invest when you're young, let compound interest start making you money, and then basically go buy a cheap place in the Midwest, maybe one piece of land in the north, one piece of land in the south, get yourself an RV and kind of travel between them. Have a little car you pull behind them, and then you just kind of take your time and enjoy life. Society, though, needs you to constantly work. And I think that's the real truth of it. They don't care that these guys, just like nobody cares about that little African boy digging out some, rare earth material for your cell phone. And, do I care about that? No, I'm honest. I don't care, just like you don't care. But in the same way that we don't care about that situation, the plight of that child in some other foreign country or sweatshop in China, you don't really care about the men you've cast out into the shadows. Just like with shadow banning, these dudes are basically invisible. And the difference is that you could argue it's like the old line, when people still are angry about a situation, like once they've got to the void that I can create, where they're like perfectly content in their own personal universe. Once they get to where I'm at, you've lost them. Just like with fans, once they stop being angry, they'll move on to something else. But this is the thing. These younger men, they are pre-made with their own personal universe. They're already the black void without any effort. So that's what you should be concerned about. Peace.